This is a HeadGum podcast.
Late. I feel like you're not a hugger, right?
What?
You're not a hugger, right?
No. Like, it's fine.
You don't have to. Well, because I feel like I've seen people hug you, and I know I have, and I feel like you're like, could take it or leave it.
For sure, I can take it or leave it. Well, that's very observant of you. I'm not normally a hugger.
Wow. Thanks.
Yeah.
Also, do you have a preference?
Oh, I'm closer to this one. That works.
All right.
Yeah. I just like, hugging's always such a weird thing because I'm like, if somebody really, it's like important to them, I want to do it. But if it's not important to them, then why am I forcing them? You know what I mean?
It's not important to me.
Yeah.
I started. I was, I was more like not anti-hugging. I just didn't like being touched, and then after 9/11, I became a little. I'm not kidding.
Really?
I became a little more huggy. Yeah, for real.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's just so often after 9/11 is usually someone's punchline. So I was not expecting an earnest thing to follow it.
No, it was true. And it was something that I was aware, I became aware of it because I'm like, oh, wow, I'm not normally ever the person to initiate, like come in, hug. And now I don't even think about it, unless somebody's super sweaty.
I worried that would be me. It's not even that hot out.
I meant you.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure. I'm wearing lace, it clings. But
Why are you wearing lace?
Worried. I just was in the mood. I haven't really... You've never been in the mood for lace, David?
I guess, but it was a Purim thing.
Yeah.
But
that's fine.
No, I've never been in a lace mood, but I can imagine it.
Sometimes I like it. There's just something that's very like, I don't know, that's very like new wave 80s goth that I just really appreciate about it, about a sheer lace undershirt somehow. Reminds me of maybe the way the East Village used to be. Maybe not.
A long time ago.
A long time ago, but time I didn't get to see.
Does it feel good or?
It feels better when it's not summer. I'm not very good at like planning my outfits based on the weather. Like I'm not going to go out, like when I look at my weather app or whatever, I don't look at it and I'm like, oh, it's 72. Like I know what to wear. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm always either a little bit too cold or a little too hot. I can't do it.
Knowing that you're always a little too cold or a little too hot. Mm-hmm. What about adjusting since you have that knowledge? What about going, you know what? I'm always a little too cold or a little too hot. I'm going to bring an extra.
I am devoutly stubborn. I will not do it. I don't want to carry an extra thing. I have like a weird anxiety about it where I'm like, now I'm bringing this jacket on. What if I don't even need it? And the whole night I'm just carrying this jacket because what if I need it?
What about a backpack or
rather
something?
Be uncomfortable.
Or your
I
bag?
do have a tote.
Okay, your tote. What about putting a wrap in your tote? Because here's the thing.
I honestly don't know.
If it's cold enough to be cold, you wear a jacket.
Yeah.
And the extra thing can easily fit in that tote. Easily.
It could. And it's better to have it. I think some of my stubbornness is like I still have some kind of a like tough it out mentality. Like I wasn't, I don't know. I didn't, that's kind of what I have. I have kind of like I don't know, I'll figure it out, which is senseless.
Were you brought up outside?
Outside of,
like just raised outdoors.
In many ways,
allowed
yes.
to come in.
In many ways, in a metaphorical sense, yes.
I meant in a literal sense.
No, but I might as well have like people are like, are you raised by wolves? Or are you just like raised in the woods? Like I'm like kinda.
Where were you raised?
I'm not saying this to be like clever, but I wasn't really. But I was kind of raised all over. We like moved a lot, so it was kind of like I didn't have like a set place.
Yeah, same here.
I guess, yeah. So it's like are you like this? Like I don't have an attachment to like, this is, to me, New York City is home. Mm-hmm. I don't have a like one other spot. So it's like, yeah, and I'm not, it's not a like close thing, but I think I had some of the tough it out stuff I know comes from like, I think you might have some similar stuff with this, but like it was very much like very patriarchal shitty dad, very like, I'm scared of him, mom, me kind of like.
She's being serious. She's being
That's
serious.
That's really rude.
That is rude. Sorry,
Did that just happen?
Yeah.
Or did you make that happen?
No, that my phone has, got a mind of its own and likes to chime in. So I thought you were
being like a shock jock and being like, wah, wah,
no, my
wah.
fingers are right here. My hands are right here. You can see them.
But I was like, maybe somebody else is like, there's like a shock jock at HeadGum who's like, she's talking about something personal. That's hilarious. Like, oh God, cool. So is that just your like text tone?
It's my notification.
Oh, okay.
Sound. Yeah.
It's the womp womp.
Yeah, it's the sad trombone.
Tremendous. But I think like I had to like raise myself and like kind of everybody. And when you have that, I think sometimes you take some of that stuff into your adulthood where you're like, tough it out. You can deal with it. And it's like,
yeah, for
unnecessary.
Sure. I don't think our backgrounds were, because my dad wasn't there a whole lot. And then he left when I was 9 and my sisters were 7.5 and 5.
Yeah.
And it was after that where because we had no money, in debt, and he just left. So there was a lot of, you did just that because nobody really had to tell you. We were latchkey
Someone
kids.
has to do this.
So you're like, if you want to eat, make yourself a sandwich, and my mom wasn't coming back until 6 o'clock, and that was it. It wasn't necessarily, but because I grew up poor and without kind of a support system outside of my mom's. At first, just scrambling to find any job because she had no real skills, and it was I have a lot of that where it's mostly right now I'm thinking of and she's an okay kid, but my kid is definitely spoiled, and we know that she's an only kid. At age 60 have never lived in a place as big as my brownstone. And she knows nothing except living in that brownstone. And I'm like, we didn't have stairs. Stairs? We didn't have stairs. Stairs
are a rich man's game.
Lead to another room?
Yeah.
Another level?
I love when people sometimes like there's levels of wealth that I didn't know existed since I come from like such like really having nothing, that like sometimes there are like wings to a house. I'm like, there's a wing, like just these levels that you didn't even know were there, because my version of like wealth was like not that wealthy. Do you know what I mean? Where you're just like, you didn't have a comprehensive of like,
I know exactly.
That's not wealth,
I
man.
look back on when I was a kid and what I thought, and really wealth was, as I see it now as an adult, like for me, anybody who had video games, a video game system, Atari,
more
whatever,
than one.
like
more than one game. I think I had like the game that came with the system.
That
but,
was
people had a bunch of them.
A thing, and anybody who had that kind of carpet on the walls kind of rec room where they turn their basement, if they had a house and they turn their basement into like the fun zone, like
with
that.
Like I've seen this in movies, which says a lot, but it's like there's
Very
like
70s,
skee ball and stuff, and like
no, not like an arcade.
Not like an arcade. Okay, yeah.
I meant like you took the place that would have been storage or whatever.
Okay.
And they turned it into like
fun world.
Yeah. And like, that's my dad's wet bar. And then but it's a whole separate part. So you go to these smaller houses, which to me was like, that's cool. You got a house and you got a little stairway.
Yeah.
Stairwell, and it goes up and there's like, again, by my standards now, it's like, oh, it's fine. You got a second floor,
it's
and you got
house,
2 bedrooms and a closet and a bathroom. And then the downstairs is like, maybe a pantry and kitchen, dining room, living room. That's it.
Yeah.
But to me, that was like, wow. And then when they had their basement finished, and there was fucking shit in their basement and stuff that you could do, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's wealthy.
Right. And then you grow up, and especially being in New York City, and then you're like around these people who have like levels of wealth that your brain can't even comprehend, because the levels of wealth that you had as a kid were so kind of paltry in comparison. And then you're like, oh, there's just all of these kinds of levels. I didn't like, it's always when you said like, your dad wasn't around a lot. My dad wasn't around a lot, but like when he was, it was like not great. And so then when they split up and it was like, we're just kind of like finding places to live or whatever, it was like, there's that like brief relief. I don't know if you felt that like whatever when your dad left or whatever, but there was kind of a like,
no,
it's still horrible. Everything was still horrible.
No, it was a bummer when he left, because there was, I don't remember. I was talking to my sister about this. I don't remember any like real fights, like yelling between my mom and dad. My mom is very, she's a pushover, docile, weak-spirited, or that's not the right word, but just,
also in her, I don't know your mom, I don't know what the situation is, but like, in all fairness, I look at aspects of that in your mom and my mom, and I'm like, that is what the world told them was the best route, which sucks.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think part of the problem too was, she wasn't that experienced, and she came from, both my grandfathers died before I was born, but my grandmother, her mom was pretty cold and not a warm person at all. Very intellectual, but just, there was nothing there. And also really critical of my mom too, and did not like my dad, and, told her as much, like,
which may be fair.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Okay.
No, she was right.
But
my
still,
mom,
it's a dynamic.
Yeah. And then I was too young to know of the "I told you so" stuff, but I would imagine there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
And she would go to my mom for money when we needed money, and also she didn't care for us very much, the kids.
Yeah.
And it was just a weird fucking situation. And I remember when my grandmom was getting too old to be self-sufficient, she was very self-sufficient, very independent and self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And also, my grandfather died in front of my mom and my grandmother. He had a aneurysm, brain, and just like boom, like was up. They were all in the den reading or whatever, and he went up to like go get a book, and he just dropped dead. And so that's got to fuck a person up.
Yeah, totally.
And
Jesus.
And from what I know, he was pretty cold too. And they were so then, my mom and grandmom had a strained relationship, and then when my grandmother wasn't able to be self-sufficient, she moved down to Atlanta to spend her last days there. Yeah. And I remember after she died, and she was in this kind of cool old folks home, like modern, like fun.
And it's also like, what even is that? Is there like sex
there?
She
hated
like,
it.
What is it?
Just jerking off, lots of jerking off.
A lot of sex,
vibrators all over the place.
Yeah, for free, just in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Take
it was
it
was a federally.
Take one, leave one.
This was it was an earlier. It wasn't all GOP run. There was a little bit more. And this is Atlanta too, not it's Georgia, but it's still, so they were, they had a program where they, vibrators, rabbits and fleshlights for the elderly. And there would be like a van that would come by and distribute.
And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for that premium of like, you didn't have to order this.
Well, it's taxpayers.
Yeah.
It was funded by the city. Yeah.
Tax funded orgasms for the elderly. It's a platform.
Orgasm is, fingers crossed, but I mean, they're not making any promises.
At least the attempt. The attempt
you don't
is
see
there.
a whole lot of old ladies going, like, this didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And, well, ma'am, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. To be fair, some of those have a lot of functions.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of settings. To try to learn that at 80, God bless you, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're not tech savvy.
No.
So,
you got to charge it with a USB what? Like, yeah, they can.
I'm the same way. But,
I know, I get it.
And there's nothing more awkward than returning a fleshlight and trying to get your, like, this doesn't work. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's me, but it's just not. And having to fucking argue with the person behind the counter, like, well, what's wrong, sir? I don't know. It's not. I mean,
you've done this. This is a real
multiple
or
times.
You're just assuming. Okay,
yeah.
I was like, you've definitely done this.
I'm on my, I don't know, 17th, 18th, 19th fleshlight.
Wow, devotion, brand devotion. Is this sponsored by Fleshlight?
Well, I mean, hint, hint, right?
God willing.
Yeah.
God willing.
And
can I tell you that the first thing that brought up is, and I haven't actually like talked about this because sometimes I'll have like a topic that I'm like, that's so rife with like material and I'll do it one day. But I worked customer service at a sex toy website as a teenager. And I have not explored it in my stand-up or anything like that or written about it. Oh my
gosh.
But I've been on the other side. I've been on the other side of it where I was like having men, mostly men, just be like, I'm having a problem with this, or they would like return a cock
You're on the
ring.
phone with them?
Sometimes you're on the phone. Yeah. Sometimes you're processing orders that come in and they would have like
special notes or
yes. Yeah. And I loved the special notes. For like someone who wanted to be a comedian, it was just like, this is the perfect job. But they would have like someone return a cock ring and you have to select a reason why you're returning it. And I'm sure I just loved imagining the men checking the box that said too big. Like I got too big of a cock ring. All right. I want my money back. Like
my eyes were bigger than my cock.
Right. Also, this cock ring is probably $10. I feel like that's probably worth the cost of just eating the $10 than like sending it back to the company and being like, I put my dick in it and my dick was much smaller than I thought. I would like a refund, please. Like, how is that worth it?
Hey, if you need $10, you need $10.
You need it. But I just was like, wow, the like, good for you, I guess, that you were like, I'm going to send it back and I am going to check too small. Like, but this guy was honest. He wasn't like, or whatever. Was it too big? Yeah. He was like, too small. My dick was huge. Yeah. Or like you would get women probably I got the vibe that it was a bachelorette gift, would buy these like the biggest dildo you've ever seen that was like, 2 feet wide, whatever.
The
like
Ripper.
Some like comically large dildo. And they would send it back and be like, too big. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. You bought the biggest penis in the world that was like supposed to sit on a table and you were supposed to like laugh at it. And they're like, too big. We didn't need it. It was just, or I think my favorite ones were we sold these penis cages that would be used for like, I guess like S&M stuff where it would be like, keep your dick in a cage till I get back or whatever.
Like a novelty or for real?
It was like a little cage, this little cage that you would like put over your penis. And the idea is your partner has the key and it's like this thing.
Like a chastity belt for guys.
Correct. Right. Yeah. And then I had a couple phone calls where I'd have to be like,
what if you got to fucking go to the bathroom?
Or sometimes the wife would take the key.
That's what I'm saying.
Not give it back.
What if you have to do something? What if you have to sign some documents and you're paraplegic and the only way you can do it is with your dick?
Well, then you're going to have to do what I had to tell these men, sometimes calling on the phone frantically, penis bursting from the plastic, just like, and me, this like teenage virgin being like, I got to advise this penis bursting man. He had to call the fire department. That's what we were told to tell them. They had to call the fire department and have their dick cut out of a cage.
Oh my God, that's humiliating.
Amazing. An incredible job.
And you got this job as a teenager in the United States of America?
The United States of America. It was a fun job. But I'm always just like, there's so much shit that happened in that. It's its own thing.
It's just an online like massive sex.
Yeah, it was just a sex toy website. And I remember at the time, the reason I chose it, I wasn't like, ooh, salacious, fun job. It just paid well. And I was making shitty money, like waitressing or barista or whatever I was doing for work and stuff. And I was like, oh, this pays more than that stuff. I don't really know what it is. And they're kind of vague in the listing. And I just went in and I was like, it's
an office job. You went in somewhere.
I went into an office. Yeah. And it was like, blessing / curse of having the mind of like a writer and comic who is like, this is kind of fun. This is a very interesting job to have.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was good. But anyway.
We are talking with Lane Moore, she of the Tinder Live show, which I've participated in now 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. Very, very funny. You're very good at what you do. And I know your Tinder Live is going on tour again.
Yeah, I'm going on tour. This is a big tour because it's the 10th anniversary tour. It's the 10 years since I started the show, which is wild. That
we explain what the show is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tinder Live, I'm going on my dating app and I am swiping through live. The audience votes whether I swipe right or left on somebody. We match live in the moment and we message
it's projected on a big screen behind you.
Yes, it's projected on a big screen so you can see all of it. You can see what I'm typing. But the thing that I always like to note with people is that the show is known for not punching down. That's not interesting to me. I knew when I started it.
Well, I told you, I almost left before I knew you, before I knew what the show was. And I think Jeannie Garofalo had said like, oh yeah, it's good. And I don't know exactly why I jumped on or said yes, but and you went out there and you talked for like 5 minutes before you even get started. And,
so I like to tell people what the show is kind of.
Guess out. And then I'm thinking, oh, this is bullshit. Fuck this. I was really starting to get a little angry. And I was, in my head, I was fantasizing like about
the worst version of it.
Well, about coming out and going, hey, I'm not participating because I think this is fucked up. I don't like it. I think it's cruel. And it's, and I thought you were making fun of those people. And in a way you are, but you're leading them to, they're hoisting themselves on their own petard, as it were.
Totally.
You're not pointing anything else out and you're letting them do all the work. And, and then, it started and I was like, it wasn't exactly what I thought or wasn't,
what you feared.
And it was fucking funny and it was really funny to watch. And also, I was completely ignorant to those dating apps, how they work. And I mean, I've done it a bunch now and I still have occasionally be like, wait, so what's happened? How does he know?
My favorite moment of that was, I want to say this was the first time you did the show. I got to explain what the eggplant emoji means to you. And it was an incredible moment for me.
I don't know any of that shit.
It was so great. I guess for people
like,
listening who don't know what it is, it's a penis.
Why are you putting eggplants there?
Like 19 eggplants. But yeah, it was a great moment. I was like, oh, this is nice. But I think that's it. Like, I've been doing the show for 10 years now, and it's like the one thing that I'm kind of like, when I hear it is like people's, and it's rare, but like sometimes people, if they don't know me, they don't know the show, they have this thing in their head, and usually it's people who haven't used dating apps, will assume that like dating apps are full of like the most wonderful people who are being really earnest. And so the only version of this is if I could just be like.
Who thinks that? Who thinks that there are only earnest people on dating apps?
Right. I don't understand it either, but I have heard like one time I was doing the show in Portland, Oregon, which is one of my favorite places to do the show. And someone I emailed about like, one of the like press people or something was like, I really commend people. It's so hard to get on there and be your earnest, authentic self. And, you don't want to punch somebody while they're trying to find love. And I was like, why would I ever do that? Why would anybody ever watch that? Like, of course it's not that. And it was somebody who has never used dating apps and they just assumed that it was going to be that. And it's like, but the first time that I went on Tinder, I got the idea for the comedy show and pitched it that night because I was like, oh, this is just like the craziest men, the photos they choose, the horrible things they say, the like way they're framing themselves, the yelling at women, the just like toxicity. I was like, oh, this is such like so ripe for comedy. It's right there. And my favorite, one of my favorite descriptions of it is like, I'm sure you know Frank Conniff. And I was such a Mystery Science Theater fan and he has done the show a bunch too. And he was like, a lot of people have done Mystery Science Theater type stuff, but I feel like Tinder Live is the truest to what Mystery Science Theater was, where it's like, he says he describes it as Mystery Science Theater if the movie could talk back. And I think that's very accurate, where it's like, it's a fun thing. And I think, a lot of times the guys that have really horrible profiles, and I start talking to them, and I'm playing a character for people who haven't seen it. I'm playing a character that my Tinder Life character does much better on dating apps than I do, because she's kind of an amalgamation of what the worst or weirdest men on Tinder kind of want, which is like somebody who's pretty dumb, somebody who's not all there, somebody who like you can kind of mold them and do, like, they don't have any needs or expectations, pretty drunk, super horny. That is really who that character is.
Well, one of my favorite things about it is, in all the times I've seen it and watched you do it, I'm always surprised at the perfectness of your response to be very funny in a way that I wouldn't have guessed, that also keeps it going and gets the guy. I mean, you get the guy to a place that I'm like, how is he still?
They'll still talk to you.
What is going on? I mean, you
right.
know, so much blood. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it's, I will say, like, you know, kind of the most out there stuff, and they'll still keep going.
When somebody describes themselves as funny or humorous, and then you really like, oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'll do like 1,000 ha-ha-has, because it's like, you know, it's kind of like playing with what I don't get to do in real life. You know, when you're on a date with a guy in real life, or you're talking to a guy on a dating app in real life, and he's like, I'm really funny. A lot of women don't get it. I deal in sarcasm, or whatever, you know, he's kind of saying about himself. It's like, I would never swipe on that guy, because like, whatever.
I'm really funny, and most women don't get it.
Most women don't get it, but it's like, that's where I go.
Very attractive feature.
Such an attractive feature. But it's so, but you know, in my personal life, when I was going on Tinder, and these guys would be like, I want a woman with a sense of humor. But 8 times out of 10, that means I want a woman who thinks I'm very funny and sits there quietly. And I would see it, and I would notice that. I would go on there as myself.
They've been watching a lot of Japanese schoolgirl porn.
I'm sure. That's what that character gets to kind of do. And it's so, I think the other thing that's nice about it too is that one of the things I hear a lot after Tinder live shows with women especially are like, oh, I can say anything. Because I think when we're trying to connect on these dating apps, we're like, I have to say the perfect thing. I have to be the funniest. I have to be like the cleverest. I have to be the most fun, or whatever it is, best version of myself. And I'm like, you know, with a lot of these guys, like, I will just say the most out there stuff. But it's interesting how it works. I think it works 2 ways with those guys, where it's like, they're either just like, she's kind of insane, but she seems like she might have sex with me, so I'm just going to keep going down this road.
I think that's really what it is. Yeah.
I think, you know, because at a certain point in, like, when I started doing it, some of these guys that you'll see on the show, and that's why it's like, you know, when people kind of are like, is it like this? I'm like, no, but like, whatever. Like, you know, it's so much better than that. But when I'm talking to some of these guys, they like are somehow like kind of in on the joke. They like get it, and they'll kind of, I don't know if you've seen that happen in the show. I'm sure once or twice, where it's like they're kind of throwing jokes back, and you're like, oh, this is really fun. They're like meeting me at my level. And sometimes people in the audience were like, you should go out with that guy. He seems cool. Yeah. No, I did it a couple times. I tried to go out with them, and I realized why it wouldn't work. Because I kind of thought, like, what a kind of cool story potentially of, like, I was doing my comedy show, and like, I thought this guy, his profile was crazy. I thought I knew what type of guy he was. And then he ran with the joke, and people were really rooting for us, and he was great in person. The tough thing is, when they're going with this, it's like, who are they drawn to? Are they drawn to me because I'm funny? Or are they kind of drawn to a really subversive, kind of dumb, moldable, do you know what I mean? And that's what I found to be true, where it was like,
were they surprised when you met up? Were they like,
well, I told them first, you know, in order to like make that transition, which I did used to try to do, and it did, like, it always went well, because it was such a silly, I think that's what I love when people like see the show or find out about Tinder Live, and they're like, they find out that like, that's really what the show is it's like, 9 times out of 10, like these guys would get laid with any woman in the audience because they're being such good sports. As long as you're not being the worst man, it's like there are people who are like, I think he's hot. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I've actually had people who I've matched with and talked with who were like, could you give him my number? And I've given the woman in the audience the number of the guy I was talking to, and they've like dated or whatever. But sometimes, oh my God, I completely lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
When you were out with some of these guys.
When I was out with them. I have to say like, hey, I know this is like weird, but I do this comedy show where we kind of do this. And you were really funny. I was surprised. And like, this is who I am. You can look me up.
You say this before you meet.
Of course, because I'm not gonna like that's kind of the whole crux of the show is like, I'm not trying to like mess with anybody or like whatever. It's like, also then like, if I didn't tell them that, then what, am I going to be her on the date? That's not fun for me.
No.
So I kind of have to.
But you say that and then they can look you up.
Yeah, totally.
Once you give them all that information and then choose to continue to go, yeah, fuck it all.
Right.
Hang out with
and
you,
they always did, I think, because the ones I was picking, it was like, they were such good sports. Like I do live streams, especially during the pandemic. And there was one guy who ran with the bit to such an unbelievable degree that it like blew up online, and we were all like kind of freaking out about it. And then like, I think what happened with him is like, everyone was really rooting for it. I think he just got freaked out. I don't blame him, because he was like, he really like wanted to go out, and then I think just got cold feet. And I was like, that's fine, because like, it's tough to make that transition, just many reasons why I don't do it anymore. But it's like, he doesn't know that like, I'm not the type of person who would like, go on like TikTok live during our date. Like that's a type of person.
Do you think there was a fear that this date would also be fodder for comedy?
That's what I mean. And it's like, that's where it ends for me. Like the second that it's really in my personal life, I don't seek stuff out like that. I think it's like part of why I think part of why Tinder Live works and why it's, is because it's not cynical. Like I like when I see a really nice guy's profile on there. I like when...
Well, it's also really, really funny. I mean, I certainly don't mind funny cynicism, but it's not cynical, but
I just mean it's not a like everybody sucks, like kind of punching down.
Really making fun too much of, I mean, it's inherent because the guys in the audience will tell you like, do it. And and then there's like an immediate match and you're like, oh shit, he's up. He's, and then it just starts getting silly.
They're around. Yeah. I think that's like, what you said about like always being surprised about where,
you take
where I take it. One of my favorite things about the show is that so am I. Like, so am I, because I'm just going off of that, like the best part of improv brain is where you're like surprised that your brain even came up with that. And I very often I will think something and I will have a moment and I'll be like, am I about to type this? I am. And then it hits and it's just the best feeling that like, I love stand up so much, but it's like this utilizes some of that, like crowd work can be kind of shit on, but like the best crowd work is kind of that, where it's like you're engaging with the crowd. You're not doing the like, where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. But like something happens and now it's like a group experience. And I think that that's one of my favorite things about Tinder Live, where it's like, it is interactive and there are people in the audience who are like, that's my brother. That's the guy from work. Like one of the shows.
Oh, fucking yeah. That show where the guy, wait, what happened? He was
on the screen and it was, he was
bizarre.
In the audience and we're going through his profile and it was like,
that was really weird.
So weird. But it was like his profile was like really chaotically fun. It wasn't like toxic. And that's the thing.
So like, just so everybody at home knows, this guy who happened to be in the audience, his profile came up as she was swiping through. Yes. And then didn't somebody say like, that's him?
That's him, I think. Or he might have said, that's my profile. I think he said it. And we were like, what? And whenever that happens, I'm always like, come up on stage, not to like, beat the crap out of you. But I always say like, if your profile comes up, tell me and I'll ask you why you made these choices. That's what I want to know. And
it was fun. It was a very cool, specific.
Do you remember the rest of that? It was his birthday.
Yeah, I remember birthday.
It was his birthday. he had a gift someone had given him. You took his gift away and gave it to me and said like, oh, you brought her a present. And it was like a bottle of tequila or something. But he like kind of explained his profile and like, you know, later that night, like came up and was like, can I get a photo with you? And I was like, this is rad. But like, that happened to me. I was in LA a couple months ago with David Koechner and Lamorne Morris, and a guy who worked at Dynasty Typewriter came up on screen, and we had him come up and like play piano. It was this whole
that's pretty
thing.
cool.
It was like, so it's just,
hey, that's me.
yeah. And he was like really cool, and I like to think he got a bunch of numbers that night. But like, and he posted about it later. He was like, I went to work tonight, and it turned into this whole thing. So it's just. It's like it's my favorite thing to do. I just, because I'm such an anxious person and I'm so in my head, and I tend to get very like, I love words. I love finding the perfect words. And kind of the great thing about doing a show where you're doing basically an improvised set kind of every night is like, there's like trust I've had to develop where it's like, I'm going to find the joke every time, that I think is really cool as a performer, even though it was like
taking the show
scary at the time. I'm going all over. I'm starting in Washington D.C. And then I'm
That's
going.
the nation's capital.
Yeah, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to North Carolina. I'm going to.
That's the nation's capital.
I thought so.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'm going to.
Where in North Carolina?
I'm going to Charlotte and Durham.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I haven't been to Charlotte yet.
As long as you can balance out Charlotte with Durham, that's good.
I think I can. I'm going there, and this is good. This is like a good brain exercise. Like, where am I going? I'm going to the Midwest. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to Minneapolis. I'm going to Grand Rapids. I'm going to.
Are you doing the comedy festival in Grand Rapids or just a one-off?
No, a one-off. I didn't even know there was a comedy festival in Grand Rapids. Call me Grand Rapids Comedy Festival.
I don't know if it's still around.
I didn't know.
I did it a long, long time ago, and it seemed very. I don't want to say. It was, you know, not much of a like when you think of the comedy festivals and you think of. Sketchfest in San Francisco, you think of Clusterfuck, you think of Just for Laughs and and various Bridgetown and stuff like that. You think of the comedy festivals and Laughing Skull Festival and all that. This one was not like, you haven't heard of it.
No,
yeah,
I didn't. But
it seemed very, small potatoes, tiny.
That you had to say in the tiniest voice to match how tiny the potatoes were. I'm like, it's my quest on tour is like always like, it's like, you want to do the great show, but I become obsessed with food wherever I'm going. I want to eat the best food that I can in every single city. Absolutely. Well, do you know Jim Gaffigan? No, I don't know Jim Gaffigan. I mean, I know who Jim has. He knows where all the food is. Okay. Aziz Ansari knows where all the food is. Tell you where all the food is. That's great. Yeah, because I need to. I have an email thread of like the best restaurants that I've eaten at, so that I can go back when I. Yeah, that's good. I'm very obsessed. One time I performed in Portland, and we went to this sushi place, and it was so great. And the guy was like, "Oh, what are you doing in town?" I was like, "Oh, I'm a comedian. I'm doing this comedy show." And he was like, "Oh, David Cross was here last week at this place." And I know exactly where you're talking about. You go upstairs. Yes. Holy shit. It was incredible. And I was like, I know David. Wild. Yeah, he's done my show. When you said that, I pictured, I fucking pictured that place. And it was so good. And it was not expensive for that. When you walk in, you're like, "Oh, this is going to be fancy." Oh, yeah, it was so great. Good. It was so incredible. And I was like, that's so funny. I was like, yeah, I know David. David's on my show. Wild. Cool. Yeah. But it was so good. I'm so obsessed with that stuff. And then like. So where do you eat when you go to Atlanta? I've only been to Atlanta a couple times, so I don't really know. Atlanta is one of the only, I think the last time I went there was one of those situations where like, I got a hotel that was too far away from everything. Yeah. So then you're just kind of door dashing some like kind of good food, which is right. If you really care about food, that is a bummer. There's some really good food in Atlanta. Food, I'm a little sad. I would, are you doing a show in Atlanta? List. Yeah, I am doing a show in Atlanta. San Francisco, I've had good food. I'm going back to San Francisco. I've had good food. San Francisco's great. Portland, I
Chicago.
always had good.
Where do you eat in Chicago?
Chicago, I haven't really found it yet either. But I've only been like twice.
Okay, so there's a place that I try to go to every time I go. There's a several month waiting list, but and I don't know if you can eat there by yourself. So you'd have to bring somebody, but you have tech people, right? Or is it just you?
It's just me sometimes. Sometimes I bring people, like I'll have like a merch person or something like that. Yeah.
But you can also just see if they're, and it is not cheap.
Yeah,
it's not cheap, but it's absolutely worth it.
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
I would rather spend like food over like a $12,000 handbag. I'm like, give me an incredible meal that I'm going to freak out about for 4 hours.
Wait, a $12,000 hand job?
No, handbag.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure
handbag.
that exists too.
Okay, I was going to say that's a bit much, but
I'm sure that exists too.
But that's also
not
a bit much
not
for
as
a
good
handbag.
of a value as the Fleshlight, sponsors of the show.
Exactly. So there's a place. I don't know what area it is. Is it in?
I gotta get the
I'm not sure, but it's
Gaffigan spreadsheet. I gotta get it.
You got to go to a place called Schwa.
Okay.
If you can. Again, there's a several month waiting list. And
is this a Resi thing? Do I have to turn notifications on? I'll do it.
I think you call and I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
Do you do that with like a restaurant I really like? I'm constantly turning on notifications for when a table opens up.
I don't think I've used Resi.
That's like my new thing.
I mean, I'll call the place.
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
I will call a place solely so that I can say my name.
I was going to say, do you just name drop and you're like, give me the table?
A third of the time, it'll work, a third of the time, like, oh shit, yes, Mr. Cross.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Like, yes, this is David Cross. I would like to come and eat at Schwa.
And I've been there a bunch, and it is just, it's in very much a, molecular gastronomy stuff, and they do really amazing, inventive things. I think, in fact, I'm not sure, but it's so up this guy's alley. I'm going to say it probably was Patton Oswalt who got me in there in the first place during a comedy festival in Chicago. And he's the one who told, I think he might have taken me too. Yeah. But I've been there a bunch since then, and the staff is great. It's just a really great experience. It's just small, dark room with maybe, I'm going to guess maybe 14 tables, something like that. Maybe, give or take. And it's just always a great experience.
Maybe I could, if I don't impersonate you, because I'll probably know when I get there, because as you said earlier, you're not a lace person, then maybe I could be like, David Cross sent me.
You can try. I don't know that it's going to help. I mean,
I don't either. I'm making this reservation on behalf of David Cross, which has a murky meaning where he won't be there, but
it's if I'm on the road and if I can, with enough advance notice and get in and get I'd go. I'd pull a stranger off the street and go, here, sit right down, because they won't let me eat by myself. But, it's great. It's a really good experience. The whole thing, and it's one of those things where they're like those kind of there's smaller portions, like this is it, and then you're stuffed by the end of the night.
Totally, because it's like 10 courses or whatever.
That's my all dream. Delicious, and
I love it.
And you're there for a couple hours, and every they present. There's also a place.
It also allows me to eat more slowly than I usually do, because I inhale my food. I always have, but at those places, I'm like, oh, this is little. Sushi. I'm gonna savor it.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna savor it instead of inhale it. And then it's like takes forever, and I don't get full too fast. Keeps me on my toes. Like, what is this? It's just, I think that's my favorite way to spend my time. That's not.
Yeah, you'll really like schwa then. And it's schwa like the symbol, like the schwa sound.
Okay, cool.
And where else did you say you're going?
So I'm going.
Where do you eat in San Francisco?
I'm trying to remember. This is why I have the list, because I'm not like, if it really stands out to me, if I go like 10 times, I'll remember the name, but otherwise I don't remember the name.
10 times? I would hope so.
No, but you know what I mean? If I've been back multiple times, then I'll remember. But sometimes I remember it vaguely, where I'll be like, the Malaysian place, what was that? And then we'll look up the Malaysian place. But I've only been to San Francisco a couple times. But there's a lot of places in Portland that I really love. There's one place, I don't know. Obviously that sushi place. I think about that sushi place all the time. I don't even remember. I had like incredible sake there. It was just like top to bottom. But I don't know the name of that place. Do you?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember the name of the place.
But in my head, I can get there.
Yeah. I tend to, but because of the bias of remembering things that I hated, it's much easier for me to remember a place that wronged me. That I'm like, that pizza was the fucking worst, and I'm never gonna forgive you for making me eat it. And probably didn't throw it out. Probably definitely just kept eating it out of spite. But going to Seattle, I haven't found really great food in Seattle. I know it exists. LA, I'm still trying to find. I know there's good food in LA. I know that I don't want to be that person. I refuse to be that person.
No, LA's got great food.
It has so much really great food. I just haven't been there yet because what happens is
In-N-Out, Shake Shack, Chick-fil-A.
The hits just keep on coming.
Available on Hollywood.
Yoshinoya Beef Bowl.
Oh, I don't like that place.
Okay. It's pretty expensive. Because what happens is a lot of times when you go out to these cities, like I'm not in LA a ton, and then it's like you have people who tell you the places to go and it's like absolutely not the place to go. They just think it will be impressive to somebody coming in from out of town. And you're like, no, what impresses me is when food is incredible, not if it's like crazy expensive or if, I almost just said if Diane Keaton's next to me, but that would impress me. But you know what I mean? Like, they give you the like sceney places. I'm like, no, just give me, I don't care if it's $6.
You want to go to Diane Keaton's house, eat there.
I want to go straight to Diane Keaton's house.
She's got like an island with stools around it and, DoorDash.
That's,
some Yoshinoya
she's going to make it
people.
fun. She's going to make it fun. Maybe she whipped something up.
Yeah, she's a spirited sprite.
No one has given me Diane Keaton's address. And I think that's
You got to get maps of the stars home. You get that.
Just start
you go
stalking celebrities to get really good dinner.
It's not really stalking. You just get the address. You go on the tour. Yeah. Hop off.
Like, hi, David Cross sent me.
Yeah.
I'm Lane Moore. Nice to meet you. Don't call the cops. Why are you doing that?
Are you familiar with census working overtime?
Yeah. Yeah, I was told to come here. He said it was fine. But then we start a friendship and it's quirky and it's like fun. Maybe there's a body swap. I don't know.
Yeah, body swap would be great.
You just change things up.
Yeah. But then she'd be doing Tinder Live. That'd be weird. Right? Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm hesitant to say there's anything that Diane Keaton could not do, but I feel like it'd be a very different show.
It'd be a very different show. Yeah.
Very different show.
She'd be flustered, I think.
I think that was the first thing I thought of, where she'd be like, I don't know about this.
But then she'd have to pretend that she was you who does know about it. So that's where the comedy would come from. That's where the
comedy comes in. And that's wonderful. Where the ticket sales come in.
Yeah.
You can hear the cash.
Summer box office.
I know. I'm
Bonanza.
Ready. Yeah.
Where else are you going?
So where else am I going? I'm going to Somerville, not Boston.
Okay.
Somerville, which I haven't been to. I think I've been to Somerville for like a comedy festival. Where?
Go to Red Bones, Somerville.
Bones?
Yeah, it's a barbecue place. It's quite good.
Okay.
In Somerville.
All right. Yeah, I've heard there's great places there. I'm going to Philadelphia. I've had some really good food in Philadelphia.
Go to the Israeli place. I want to say Zahav, something like that. Fantastic.
Okay. Where else am I going? I'm going to DC. I always have good food in DC. I'm going to...
Wait, where's good food in DC? I'm not sure I've had a...
There was... Okay.
Remarkable meal there. Or memorable meal.
I know there's... Okay. This is how much eating something good means to me. I don't remember anything else about what I ate. I went to this one restaurant that I had these like breaded... artichoke hearts that had a fried they were fried breaded artichoke hearts, and they had this, what's the name of that thing? It's a sauce with the red peppers and
aioli? No,
it's not an aioli.
Red pepper.
It's the one with the nuts and the red pepper. Someone's listening to this and they're like, of course it is this, but I don't remember what it's called.
Nuts and red pepper.
Yeah, it's made with like walnuts and red peppers and anything. No,
is it Mediterranean? It's harissa.
No, it's, I think, Italian.
I feel
like someone's Googling, but I don't know. Maybe not. Nope.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. She was just like typing. And I was like, oh, you're looking it up. But anyway, it was so good that I'm like, great food. But it was like this one thing that I had. But
yeah, I'm not going to go there just
no, of course you're not. But I'm going to go back this time and see what they got. and maybe it'll be great, maybe it won't be. But that's kind of the only place. The only other place that I had eaten there on tour was like at a Kava, which Kava's not bad, honestly. As far as the chain places go, it's not bad. But Philly, I've had multiple good foods I can speak to, I guess, more. Where else am I going? Obviously, like doing a show in New York, doing a show in LA. I'm going to somewhere in Connecticut. I want to say Stamford or somewhere like that.
Okay.
So I don't know about Connecticut food. I don't know. I mean, I think I do know, but I want to be wrong.
Well,
I had really good Szechuan food in Stamford once.
In where?
Stamford.
Okay.
Really good Szechuan food. I love Szechuan food
Best
so much.
pho I've ever had is in Denver, outside of Denver.
I'm going to Denver, Boulder, and Fort Collins. Really? The best pho you ever had?
Those will be fun shows. Yeah.
I love playing.
Yeah, those are great. That's a
over
nice
there.
little.
I love it. It's so beautiful. And then I like to go hiking while I'm there. I hadn't really gone hiking, but in the last few years, like the last time I played Denver, Boulder, that area, I bought hiking shoes there. It was a very big moment just so I could go. I don't know, the way people had described hiking to me, I didn't think it would be something that I would like or something, because I think when I went hiking, sometimes it's like scaling a mountain, but I don't like that.
Sometimes it's like scaling.
Right, but you know what I mean? It's like
quite often it's not.
Right. But that's what someone had told me, that hiking was like scaling a mountain and you could die at any moment. And I'm not. What? I don't want to do that.
Jesus.
It wasn't the best intro to hiking, but you know what I mean? Like I was kind of trying to do that. And I was like, this is awful. Like, I think you could die at any moment was my internal voice that was like, why would I want to do this? But just like walking around, exploring stuff and like walking up something and like.
Yeah, you don't have to sell me on hiking or even describe it. I know both of those things. I like walking.
Right. But it was just sold to me really wrong. I think sometimes people look at stuff. Sometimes for people, it's like they want it to be the most grueling, death-defying stuff for it to be fun. And that's who sold me on hiking.
Right.
When I discovered it was not that, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's, especially there, it's a great, great part of the country. And
Red Rocks and like.
You should, do a little bit of research and find out where it's a good 25-minute drive, like out of the city, but there's a section that's full of Vietnamese restaurants, and I'm telling you, the best pho I've ever had.
The best Himalayan food I've ever had was about 20 minutes outside of Denver. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was so good.
It's probably, similar.
I stuffed myself to the gills to where I couldn't move for a while because I didn't know when I would get food that good again. It was like that good. But I felt horrible for
I
like
way
the next 2 days.
overate too, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because they give you a big fucking bowl.
Well, and there was a buffet. It was a Himalayan food buffet. I was done. I was so stuffed and I felt so bad. But looking
you gotta
back,
go throw up and start again.
I think that would have actually been the move. It was so.
That's why you have the tote bag. Just lean over.
That's why I can't put a jacket in it.
Yeah.
I've got to leave room.
That explains it.
Good. I thought so.
All right. Well, that sounds. I'm hitting a bunch of those places. Did I? I'm right now. Whenever this comes out, I don't want to say airs because that's sort of an antiquated thing. You can't say it. Whenever this, it's not
drops.
Airwaves anymore.
When it drops.
What is it, Nicole? What would you call this? Whenever it
yeah,
drops?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
All right. Whenever it drops, whatever. And then put a sound effects of breaking glass. But do it so it loops for a full minute. Great. And then a farting clown.
And then the womp
alien
womp
farting.
to just bring back the womp womp from David's phone.
I'm waiting for my phone to chime in.
Okay, cool.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm going down. So I'm out on tour right now, as of this moment.
Yeah.
Not for you, but for everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm hitting a lot of those places you mentioned. And where my first show is in Seattle, but then I've got a lot of I'm going to Eugene, Oregon, which I didn't expect I'd be going back there. I did 2 shows there separately over the years. One was stand up and one was Mr. Show. That both sucked. And I did an interview with a guy from a local news show.
Yeah.
And he said, you've been to Eugene before or something, he brought it up, and I was like, yeah. And I told him the shows were not good at all. And he's kind of nodding. Uh-huh. And I was like, the theory that we all had after we did the Mr. Show thing, and I had already done stand up there and it was not good, was people are so spoiled that because it's right in between Seattle and Portland or San Francisco. I can't remember what it's on the run.
Yeah.
So maybe it's San Francisco and Portland or something, but so everybody stops there because it's a halfway point.
Yeah.
You get a show in, you get to refuel, you don't have the 8-hour drive, you have a 4-hour drive, whatever.
Yeah.
And so this small college town is just spoiled because they get every fucking, like, Radiohead will come there. You know what I mean?
Wow,
like it's in the middle of, and after the Mr. Show thing, we're like, what? Why would I come back here?
Yeah.
But I am going to be back there. I'll give Eugene one last chance. We'll find out. But I don't know where to eat there. Arcata, California, Northern California. Is it
Arcadia? I think there is an Arcadia, California, but maybe not. Sure.
Maybe.
Arcata.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but
yeah,
a bunch of new places on this tour. So I'm excited to hit them. I've never done San Antonio before. I'm going to be there.
I did San Antonio.
Where do I eat?
Years ago. I don't know because I didn't. I'm sure there's good food there. I didn't eat it though.
Oh my gosh, where was I?
But real pretty.
One of the best Mexican. Was it in No, it wasn't Albuquerque. It was in Santa Fe. Yes. Santa Fe, just outside. And that was a really good show.
I haven't been to Santa Fe either. I really want to play Santa Fe. I really want to go out there. I think it's so, yeah.
I think the oldest church in the country is in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, I could do it there. There's the venue that I do Tinder Live at in Portland a lot of the time is in an old church, and it's incredible.
Where is it?
It feels extra holy. It's called Polaris Hall.
Polaris Hall?
Polaris Hall?
No.
It's like downtown somewhere, but it's in an old church and the acoustics are amazing. And so when you hear everybody like cheer, like when I match with somebody or something, it sounds like it's an arena.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
There's a, I think it's, oh gosh, where is it? I think it's in London. I do occasionally do shows at a place called Chapel. Something. It's Union Chapel.
Okay.
And I believe it is a real, like a functioning church. Uh-huh. Very progressive, and but it's a church where they have shows. Uh-huh. And specifically, I've done it a couple times, and specifically in the last special, the last tour or whatever, as a whole thing about killing Jesus and what a better world it would there's more to it.
Yeah.
And the
you don't just say that and leave the stage. The
rapists within the Catholic Church and covering it up and all that shit. But doing that in a real church, that is an actual church, is pretty cool.
It really, there is some kind of its own, I almost hesitate to use these words, but like religious experience though, of like, for whatever that means to you. But it's like, I'm not a very religious person, but like, it just makes things feel.
I see you're wearing lace.
Yes, right? Yeah, as you know, Madonna was so Catholic. But like, there is that kind of like, in your own way, you're doing this like, is I guess for me, like you're doing this cathartic thing that like means a lot to you, and like you're sharing this experience. Like I think there's some element of that.
See, my phone calls bullshit on that.
It gets it. But you know what I mean? It just feels extra cool that like it was used for this other purpose, especially for mine, which is like no longer a church. But I'm like, church isn't always the most healthy, communal, like positive, great, fun thing. So I think that's what it is for me. I'm not like churches are always great. It's like, no, because they're not doing a comedy show, there feels like extra cool somehow.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
You know,
so fuck you, phone. He agreed.
All right. Lane Moore, she of Tinder Live. Thank you so much for coming. Now I end every show with a question from my daughter.
Great.
Who is 7. And this is your question. Okay.
Yes.
Lane Moore, why are ghost peppers so spicy?
I've actually thought a lot about this. She's had a ghost pepper?
Yeah.
Okay. Good for her. They're really spicy. But I don't know if they're as spicy as a Scotch bonnet, for whatever that's worth to her. Why are they so spicy? I mean, they were bred that way is the true answer, I believe. It's like they just bred them to be like that. I'm sure there's something there with okay. All right. I think the child answer. Because they were so spicy that someone ate them and died, and now they are a ghost. That's all. That's as close as I'm going to get to it.
Interesting. I think you are one of the very few people to try to frame the answer so that a 7-year-old would understand it.
I was a babysitter for a really long time.
Oh,
I loved it. I loved it. Like I think kids are fun, and it's
her
like
babysitters are fucking great. They all go to Pratt down the street.
That makes sense. Yeah,
and she's fucking loves them.
Yeah, it's a fun thing, especially like I think when I thought about that, I was like, what would I tell when I babysat 7-year-olds? And it was like, during the day I'm like writing for The Onion and like coming home and like they're coming and like babysitting or whatever. So it was that same kind of vibe of like you're going to do this other weird thing, and then you come home and you're like talking to these kids or whatever. Come to work, I guess, not home. Someone's home. It's going to someone's home. But I always liked finding little words like that you just feel like it lights up that part of their brain that they're like, that's fun. I don't think you are serious, but I think that's fun.
I took the question more of some mummy. Like what kind of God would allow this kind of...
Why does anyone need this? Yeah. What is
unnecessary, unpleasant heat?
I'm sure that was it. And in my attempt to lessen her potential existential crisis about why the world is the way that it is, I went to really goofy.
Yeah, good for you. There's no right or wrong answer. I mean, there is, but
yeah.
All right.
What was it?
I think it was closer to the first.
So technically, I did get it right, and then I just went somewhere else on my own, which sounds right.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Lane. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all next time.
Thanks.
That was a HeadGum podcast.